Most of us probably feel confident that we're pretty good at eating. After all, we do it every day, and it's a basic aspect of survival. But you may be eating some of your favorite foods in a completely incorrect manner. Learn what 10 foods you've been eating wrong your whole life. We may have been eating all our favorite foods wrong, but if there's one thing we definitely know how to do, it's how to hit subscribe. Make sure you do this as well to get the latest from the hub. Tacos. No matter how north of the border you are, nothing beats a delicious, savory taco. While the hard versus soft shell debate can be saved for another time, let's focus now on the hard shell variety. While we love the hearty flavor and satisfying crunch, after the first bite, the structural integrity of the taco is compromised, making enjoying the rest of your meal quite challenging. It seems like no matter how tentatively we approach the initial contact with a hard-shell taco, it isn't enough to temper the effects of our chomping. But clearly this is a flaw with the very basic design of the product, and not the way we're misusing it. Should we be doomed to crumple up our hard shells and use them as toppings on a taco salad instead? Not so fast. That hearty leaf of lettuce you tear up and put inside the taco is better suited for outside of it. Wrap your taco in a couple of large lettuce leaves, and they will contain the mess while you crunch away happily. Toblerones. There is no doubt that the best part of going to the airport is picking up a giant Toblerone candy bar. These Swiss chocolates have a unique design and a fantastic taste. We certainly earn our right to enjoy this tasty treat. Between getting to the airport, perhaps in an elaborate ruse designed solely to acquire candy, and pulling apart the candy itself, of course, we can't help but feel a bit frustrated when our Herculean efforts to break off a piece end up with us covered in chocolate flakes and cursing our mere mortal wrist strike. Well, you may not want to reward yourself with a piece of candy so soon, because it turns out you've been doing it wrong. Simply hold the Toblerone upright with the top facing towards you, and press on the tip of one of the signature triangles. And that's it. Piece easily snaps off, and you can spend the time you would have spent struggling, thinking of all the things you've done wrong in your life, including eating candy. Sandwiches. Before you take your first bite into a cold-cut sandwich, you've probably already made a tactical error. For most of us, our least favorite part of the sandwich is the crust. It's a necessary evil standing in the way of filling our mouths with delicious meats and cheeses. When we were kids, we could afford to be extravagantly wasteful with our parents' money. Many of us demanded the crust be cut off altogether. We would rather have the streets run red with strawberry jam than be subjected to a single slightly bland bite of crust. Now that you're an adult capable of making your own sandwiches, it's time to learn to do it correctly. Instead of just haphazardly slapping your deli meat down on the bread, causing the edges of the bread to not get any part of the delicious filling, try cutting your deli meat in half first. Take 2 pieces of meat, cut them in half, and line up the straight edge of the meat with the edge of the bread. Repeat until all 4 edges are covered in delicious meat. Chicken wings. 25-cent wing night at the local bar is a great deal, but it could be made better if you learn to minimize the waste you leave behind on each wing. Some people seem to feel the best way is to pop the entire wing in your mouth and suck it clean. But not only is this a choking hazard, it's hardly demonstrating your proper table manners. If only there was a way to enjoy the crispy goodness of a chicken wing in a dignified and efficient manner. It turns out there is. Simply locate the end with a slightly protruding cartilage and tear it off. This should loosen the bones, allowing you to manipulate them more easily. Remove the smaller bone and it should slide right out. Do the same to the other bone, and you're left holding an even more delicious chicken nugget. Hard-boiled eggs. In a classic scene from the popular anime Cowboy Bebop, Jet and Spike drown their sorrows by eating as many hard-boiled eggs as physically possible. It's an unusual form of grief to take, to be sure, but the real tragedy is the poor form they use peeling their eggs. It can be difficult and time-consuming to peel them, and it turns out we are setting ourselves up for failure in the way we cook them. Adding a teaspoon of baking soda to the water your eggs are cooking in. This will increase the alkalinity of the eggs and make them easier to peel later on. Once your egg is cooked, simply crack the top and bottom by tapping it against a hard surface, and then roll the egg across the counter. This will cause many hairline cracks to occur in the egg. Submerge the egg in a bowl of warm water and easily slide the peel right off. Bananas. Humans have been observing primate behavior for a long time, and it's easy to see why. They're so much like us in so many ways that it's simply fascinating. We like to fancy ourselves as more sophisticated than monkeys, but it turns out we can learn a thing or two from our simian friends. When you grab a banana, it seems natural to use the large part at the top in order to peel it. But don't you hate it when it doesn't break away easily, and then you end up smushing your banana? Try taking a lesson from a monkey instead of monkeying around. Peel the banana from the bottom, just like they do. It's much easier, and it greatly reduces the risk of accidental banana smushing. Cherry tomatoes. We love nice, fresh cherry tomatoes atop our salads or accompanying our favorite pasta dish. But slicing them in half is so time-consuming, and not to mention difficult if your knife isn't perfectly sharp. It's easy to turn delicious tomatoes into a smushed-up mess if you don't carve them up carefully. Fortunately, there's a trick that can make your life easier, and we're sure you have all the tools necessary. You can use either 2 plates or 2 plastic lids, whichever you prefer. The technique for both is the same. Place a number of cherry tomatoes on a plate or a lid, and place the other plate or lid on top. Press down just enough to hold your chosen tool firmly in place, being careful not to accidentally make tomato sauce. Then, simply slice through all of them at once. Way easier and faster than doing it bit by bit. Sausages or hot dogs? While they have different flavors, sausages and hot dogs are similar in shape, and you're eating both of them incorrectly. Before you fire up the grill this summer, perfect your eating technique and impress your friends and neighbors by creating perfectly cooked links. Place your meat of choice on a plastic or wooden skewer. Then, using a knife to carefully cut it into a spiral pattern, cutting all the way down to the skewer. Remove the skewer, and you've got a perfectly spiralized link. It already looks better than usual, and you'll find that when you cook it, it'll heat up more evenly and get a nice sear on more of the meat. The cut also improves its ability to hold onto the delicious condiments we like to pile on top as well. Popsicles. Speaking of summertime cookouts, don't you hate it when your hands get all sticky from your popsicle? Finding the proper balance between speedy popsicle consumption and brain freeze is a challenging task, and the looming danger of sticky hands makes the situation even more precarious. But a popsicle is just a frozen juice on a stick, so how much more simple can the process of consuming one possibly get? With the addition of a simple disposable cupcake liner, you can prevent your hands from matching the color the popsicle is turning your tongue. Cut a slit into the popsicle liner and slide it up the popsicle stick, with the liner facing towards the popsicle. This simple cupcake liner will step up to protect your hand from errant drips no matter how slowly you eat your frozen treat. Cupcakes. We used a cupcake liner to make eating a popsicle easier, but now let's learn how to properly eat the cupcake it came from. Cupcakes tend to be pretty tall, and it can be challenging to get it into your mouth while maintaining a proper ratio of frosting to cupcake. Unless you're a monster who licks all the frosting off first, you've surely thought, there must be a better way. And there is. Simply pull off the bottom of the cupcake and place it on top of the frosting to create a delicious cupcake sandwich. This trick will also prevent you from getting frosting all over your face while you're eating it. It's a clean, easy way to enjoy one of your favorite desserts. These culinary corrections should be enough to take you from appetizer to dessert in the best way possible. How will these tips drastically improve the caliber of your life? Tell us all about it in the comments, and don't forget to click subscribe. Thanks for watching The Hub, and we'll see you next time.